Hi everyone, welcome to Google Slides. This brief video is really just going to go through some basics of Google Slides, and I will also be talking about a few things that as teachers, it's very helpful to know. I will also note that within this video, there will be a lot of things that I go over that will be similar to other Google Suites features or apps. For example, the toolbar in this video is going to be very similar. It's almost identical to the one in Google Docs. So when you get to that video, I won't necessarily go through the toolbar if I've already gone over them in previous videos. So to start off, to get to Google Slides itself, there's a few ways that you can do this. The first way is you can go, if you've signed in through Google, you can go to the lovely little waffle icon, is what I call it, and you can find many of the Google Suites like apps and features. So you just find Google Slides and you can click on that and it will take you to this page. The other way that you can get to Google Slides is by just typing it in Google, like by typing in Google Slides, and it should take you there. If you haven't signed into Google, it will just make you sign in, but that's about it. And so once you're in Google Slides, you have many options of things to do. I most of the time use the blank presentation option because I want to create my own presentation and I kind of do my own formatting. But there are several templates that you can use that, depending on what type of presentation you are looking for or you want to do, you can use that. So you can select any of these. Maybe you're doing a science project or you want to do flashcards of some sort, anything, maybe a book report, anything like that. But I'm going to click the blank presentation option, and I had done this previously, and so this was my blank presentation with a really stellar title. So once you are in a presentation, it will look like this. A few things to note right off the bat, would be up here in the toolbar, before you click on anything, because the toolbar will change if you click on like actual features. But you can change the background. So if I'm like, I do not want it to be a black and white background, I want it to be more interesting, then maybe I'm going to change the color to look something more like that. You can change the layout. So this is like the title slide, but depending on what you want to set your presentation up like, or how you want to set it up, you can choose different slides throughout. If you want to choose an actual theme for a presentation, then you can click theme. A lot of times this bar will also pop up when you open up your very new or brand new Google Slides. So you can just choose an option that's a little bit more creative than a black and white slide. And then the last thing that you'll see is labeled transition. So basically it allows you to choose how you want your slides to transition throughout. You can also, if you click on different things within the presentation, you can also add animation to specific objects as well, just so you know. So that's a feature that you have. So that's what you need to know right off the bat. A couple of features that will be helpful to know as well, that are just for the overall general presentation, is to actually project a slideshow. It would be over here, and you just click slideshow and it will present for you. And then if you go to file, there's a couple of options that I found very helpful for certain things, and then also as just a teacher might be helpful to know. So you can make a copy of this entire presentation. What I've done in the past is I've made copies for a variety of reasons. One would be if I'm sharing it with students, like I might make a copy and put label it as such, like my presentation student copy, and then actually give that to them for whatever reason whatever I need them to use it for. I've made a copy with some of my lectures if I know I want to change my lecture, or if I know I want to change the information that I'm giving them, but I don't want to lose my original. And so I'll make a copy for that and just label it accordingly. I will also make copies if I want students to actually like do something with the presentation. And so that can be very helpful. To share the presentation within Google, there's always a few ways that you can do almost every one of these things that I'm saying. And so sharing the presentation is the same way. So you can either click share through file and then go to share with others. And then you can either like change the settings this way, and like if I want anyone with a link to see the presentation, then I would choose that and then I copy link and give it to them. If you want anyone with the link that you're giving the link to be the editor, then you can change that as well. Or if you know specific people that you want to be able to access it, then you can just put them in here and actually share it directly with them, and then they'll become collaborators as well. The other way to do this, which is what I meant by there's multiple ways to do certain things within Google, which I find helpful because you can do it however it works for you, but you can click share up here and do the same thing. It's the same view and everything. So if you need to share it with anybody, you can do it that way. Move, if you go to Move, it basically allows you to organize this within your Google Drive, which hopefully you were able to watch that video and look at those resources so you know what I mean when I say that. But if you click on Move, then you can move it to any folder that you want it to be in to help organize it so it's not just on its own in Google Drive, because that can get very complicated and overwhelming. A couple other things to just note from underneath file for the whole presentation. If you want to change the page setup, what that means is you can basically change the dimensions. So depending on what you want to use this for, you might want to do that. I know I love Google Slides because it gives me more options to be creative, which I'll get to in a second. Like it'll actually allow me to add certain things into a presentation that maybe a Google Doc wouldn't. And so maybe I would come in here and I would change the dimensions to be like it was a Google Doc. And then this is how I would, like, this is what I'm creating my maybe back to school newsletter on, or whatever it may be. I also know teachers that have made it much smaller slides because of the use and what they were looking for within that presentation. And so you can really play with it, but that is a good feature to know. Another great feature would be, I would say, print preview and print. I have had several students with IEPs in my class. And so what I would do with this, I mean, you can print it off and just give it to the students. But another reason I have made a copy of a presentation before would be I'll make a copy and then I'll actually like take specific words out of the copy and use that like guided notes or closed notes. And so then when I go into page setup, I can go up here and I can actually say, okay, I want 4 slides per page maybe. And then all 4 of the slides would come up, but it would have those missing words. So then I automatically, it's just such an easy way to do closed notes. I would already have my notes and I'd already be meeting those needs of my students on an IEP. So just something to think about. And then when you're ready to print it, you can print it this way as well. So those are just some general overall options for you when it comes to like going to the file. The other thing I wanted to mention really quick is this option right here. So basically this option is useful as a teacher because if a student shares something with you, you can actually go back and track their history. So if you're worried that they're like plagiarizing or something like that, you can actually see every version of what they've done, which is really helpful. I've also had several students, because you know, as students do, something happens and they can't access certain things, or maybe I've had kids be like, my whole presentation is gone. And it's like, oh no, what do we do? So if you go to this option, you'll be able to actually take them back and see the versions of what they've done. I've also, it helps as a teacher because then you can get that work back for them. You can also, depending on the situation, you can do Control Z and it will take them back as long as they haven't logged out of the presentation. But then the other thing too is I've had students say, like they get ready to give a presentation. I don't know where my presentation is. Everything's gone. So I'll go up here and I'll look and I'll take it back. And lo and behold, they didn't do anything. So they were trying to use that as an excuse, but I was able to see and go over that. Okay, now that we've gone over the general basics, there are a few things to know when just creating your presentation. So I'm going to go to the insert option at the top and I just wanted you guys to be aware you can insert any of these options. So you can insert an image, text box, audio, video, shape, table, chart, diagram, word art, or line, and you guys can go ahead and play with those how you see fit. These are some options like inserting a shape and like doing more drawing style that Google Doc does not give you the option for. And then when you are actually working with the text itself, the toolbar changes. So you can, and it also gives you the option to insert these like a text box and an image and shape and line as well. You can add a fill color. So yeah, I just want it to be white. You can actually change the outline and the amount of like depth the line has for that. You can change the actual line itself around it. You can change the text type itself. So maybe I want it to be a little bit bolder, a little bit different. I can change the size. I can bold the text. I can italicize, underline. I can change the color. What color should I do? Maybe orange. I don't know. You can kind of play with it if you want to do something like that. You can also highlight text. If I have students taking notes and especially for those students that might struggle, I might highlight specific phrases and tell them, like, the only thing I want you to write down is what is highlighted. And so that's helped out a lot. So you can highlight that any color that you want just to make it stand out and emphasize it a bit. A few other options that you have as well when dealing with text or with dealing with creating your presentation, you can link resources within the presentation, which I really like to do to offer them to give them to kids. Or if I know that I need to keep something all together, I'll link it. Or maybe I have like a video that I want to show, or I have another document that I want to go over with them. I'll link that. You can align the text any which way, so you can align it to the left, center, or right. You can center it within the text box itself, or maybe you want it to be at the top, whatever that looks like. You can change the line spacing, so if you had multiple lines, maybe you wanted them to be double so they're not right next to each other, and so on and so forth. You can create lists, and you have all of these options, and then you also have numbers or a list that's in number format. So there are several other options that you have within Google Slides itself, but those are the general basics of what you need to know to get started. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or to go to the contact page and ask. I can also create another video going more in depth on how I set up presentations for certain things, or just going more into the features that you've seen here today. So don't hesitate to reach out, and I really hope that this video helps you get started with Google Slides.